Hello everyone, it's Katie, your CSA coach with Shared Legacy Farms. I'm going to quick sign in on my phone because this is a live tutorial in our CSA private Facebook group. And that way I will be able to see if anyone has any questions if you are able to join us today. Alright, great. So today's tutorial is about Kohlrabi, which is this fun looking guy right here. You may or may not have seen this in the grocery store. I actually don't know that I've ever seen it in the grocery store, but I've never actually looked. So this was a vegetable that was totally new to me my first season as a Shared Legacy Farms CSA member. So I had never had it before. So I kind of got it home and I was like, what do I do with this? And I actually really loved it. And there's other people that have loved this vegetable their entire life. So we're going to kind of talk about what to do with it. It's actually super, super diverse. And I'm surprised that it's not more popular than it actually is because it can be used in such a large variety of recipes. So if you can't watch the full tutorial or are interested in where you can find more information about Kohlrabi, our ebook will be in the comments of this video, so make sure you click and check out that great PDF. And I will also make sure that the recipes, if they are in the ebook, are listed as well in the comments. So definitely check back if you have any questions. So, alright, this is Kohlrabi. Usually when you buy it, well, whenever I've seen it, it has these long leaves attached, and then this is what most people are looking at when they are buying Kohlrabi, is this like bulb. So it can be green, it can also be purple. As far as Shared Legacy Farms go, this is actually Farmer Kurt's, I guess, favorite snack, and we'll talk about how he likes to enjoy it. So you get this guy home and you want to store it. It's not an emergency or a danger zone vegetable, so nothing to worry about right away. It's going to keep in your refrigerator for at least 2 to 3 weeks, so you don't have any rush. You can throw it in your crisper drawer if you want to. It'll be okay. And then we always have these like good, better, best decisions. So you can throw it in the crisper drawer. You can also just throw it in a Ziploc bag if you want to help prolong the shelf life a little bit. Hi Kim, thanks for joining. You can also throw it in a green bag. So green bags help to absorb the ethylene gas produced from the vegetables, so it also helps to prolong that shelf life a little bit. So when you get this guy home, you don't have to wash them. You can just throw them right in your green bag. This past week, we had Kohlrabi in our CSA box. Then I actually made this beeswax paper last week, and so I kind of tried it out with Kohlrabi and obviously kept it just as fresh as can be. So this is actually just like a piece of cotton fabric I got on clearance at the fabric store, and I warmed it up in the oven with some beeswax that I spread on it to kind of hopefully reduce my use of plastic eventually. So I'm going to try to make some more if these end up working out. So I just wrapped it up in that beeswax paper. So definitely some different options. So you've got a good 2 to 3 weeks once you get this home in your crisper drawer. When you go to use it, you want to wash it off well, and then you are going to cut off the greens. So anytime you get a veggie in your CSA box that has greens attached, or if you're not sure you can eat some, the answer is probably that you can eat it. So these greens can actually be eaten and subbed in for any other greens like kale or chard, your beet greens, your turnip greens. I used some Kohlrabi in a veggie stir fry a few nights ago. I chopped up my Kohlrabi and I chopped up the greens and threw it right along with that Kohlrabi. So the Kohlrabi is obviously going to take a little longer to cook, so you might throw the greens in at the end. But these can all be eaten. They kind of have like a broccoli, cauliflower-ish taste to them. So I'm not going to use these right now. I'm going to throw them in my green bag. And I'm going to use them in some stir fries or some omelets later on. And these will just go in my refrigerator. They'll be good for at least a week, if not a little bit longer, in that green bag. So when you get this Kohlrabi bulb, the outer skin is pretty tough. So this is something that needs to be peeled. The bottom core is also really woody, so you want to make sure that you're using a decent knife when you are cutting it off. So This one is already washed off. I'm going to cut off the top and cut off the bottom. And I know everyone's probably going to have their own way of cutting this. So it's kind of up to you. I tend to cut off the top and the bottom, and then I cut it in half. And then the outer skin is pretty hardy. So I tend to peel most of it with my knife as long as I don't feel like I'm wasting a ton of the vegetable. And then I kind of finish up and clean it off with the veggie peeler once I feel like I've got most of the hardier stuff off. I am going to compost the skins. I know we talk a lot about putting skins and stems and things like that in your veggie scrap bag. I haven't put the skins of kohlrabi in my veggie scrap bag yet, but I know sometimes cruciferous veggies can make a bit of a bitter broth, so I'm a little extra cautious. So I'm probably going to compost these. Maybe I'll save a little bit to kind of try it, but if you throw them in broth, you want to do that with caution. So, alright, so this is what we're looking at. You could peel it whole. If you feel like you have some extra pieces of skin, you can use like the veggie peeler. I think this looks pretty good. You could also use this for the whole thing. If you have a sharp knife, it's probably going to be easier just to use your knife. Alright, so raw or cooked. Like I said, super, super diverse. So I posted in our CSA group last week to see what people's favorite thing to do with kohlrabi was. And I think pretty much across the board, our CSA group really likes to just eat kohlrabi raw as a snack. So that's actually how I have always eaten it. I haven't been a big cooked kohlrabi person, not that I don't like the taste of it. It just never lasts long in my house. So this is going to be a great, fast little snack. If you wanted to use it as a snack, I would just dice it up. Not dice it up, sorry. Slice it up into chips. Kind of like this. You could even cut them again if you wanted to. These are great plain by themselves. I typically like to put a little bit of sea salt on them and kind of snack on them. I've also just used them as a dip for like hummus or salsa or guacamole, any type of veggie dip. Super, super crunchy, kind of has like a broccoli-ish, cabbage-y type taste, but it's so much easier to eat than a big raw chunk of broccoli. So it's usually a pretty good seller at my snack table or appetizer table. Farmer Kurt's favorite way to eat this, and I think Corinna's favorite way maybe too, is to actually dip in peanut butter. So you can also use this as a dip or a chip or a cracker to kind of dip in peanut butter or almond butter or something like this. So definitely a super, super easy snack to do. Today I am actually going to make a kohlrabi salad. The other really popular thing seems to be in our CSA group as far as eating the kohlrabi raw is to kind of use it in like a slaw type salad. A lot of people like it even more than like a cabbage or a broccoli. So I'd recommend mixing it with some other veggies just to kind of get some other color, but you absolutely don't have to. So you could grate this in a grater to kind of go in a slaw. You could run it through your grating option or your shredding option on your food processor. You can also spiralize kohlrabi to have it in a cold salad if you wanted to, which would be kind of fun. I have never spiralized it myself, but considering the texture and the size, I think it would spiralize really well if you had a decent spiralizer. Probably not like a handheld one. You'd have to cut it pretty small, but I'm just kind of chopping this up into thin little sticks. And I'm going to make like a citrusy type salad. So the original recipe that I'm using today actually called just for kohlrabi. Kohlrabi and a little bit of orange and lime juice with some cilantro. I'm going to kind of make more dressing than it calls for, and I'm going to add in some other veggies to add in some color. So never be scared to kind of modify a recipe if you have to. I also am going to bring this someplace tonight to serve to people, and so I want larger volume, and I don't have a ton of kohlrabi, so I figured why not mix it with some other colorful stuff, right? So I will make the dressing first, but I decided to mix the kohlrabi with some really purple red cabbage to kind of brighten it up, and then some kale too. So kind of looking for some color. Carrots, I would have loved to have some Shared Legacy Farms carrots to put in here. So if I had those, I would probably also add that. So we've got kohlrabi, the red cabbage, the kale, and then some cilantro and some purple bunching onions. So this was something that was also in our box this week. They look like this. I just chopped them up fine to kind of put into this salad. So I will go ahead and make this dressing first. I have it kind of scratched out. So we're going to just start with some olive oil, and I just opened this today. So the actual recipe that was just calling for kohlrabi called for about 1/4 cup, so I'm going to use a little bit more. Because this salad has some heartier veggies in it too, like the kohlrabi, the cabbage, the kale, it would be really great made a day ahead of time. And probably just kind of let it set a little bit. Make sure I don't get any seeds in here. So I've got my olive oil, I'm throwing some lime juice in here. And then it also called for some orange juice. I didn't have any actual orange juice, but I did have a few oranges, which these are pretty juicy. So I'm actually just going to use one, but you could also use orange juice if you had some. I'm always a big fan of not getting additional ingredients for recipes if you have something that you can kind of make work at your house. So you could definitely probably sub in some other citrus type juices. This also called for a couple tablespoons of honey. I am not going to use that much. I will use a little bit, but I usually, when I can, unless we're talking about baking, I try to get a little bit less sugar. So I've got honey, we'll do a little bit of salt, and then it called for about a teaspoon of brown rice vinegar or rice vinegar. I'll measure that. I should be a good cooking demo and measure things. I'm not the best. And since I'm kind of making like double the amount of dressing here, I'm gonna double that too. Alright, so that's our dressing. Just a little bit of honey, some citrus juice, olive oil, and vinegar. Super basic. Now, ideally, I'd be pouring this over my salad. So let's see if I can kind of set this kale. I only have this large bowl out, so I'm gonna quick transfer this dressing over here. All right, so in the base of my salad, I'm putting this red cabbage and this kale. Now you can see this kale, I didn't have that much left, but it'll be good for some color. It kind of is a darker green than normal because I massaged it. So Farmer Corinna, Kurt's wife, actually just did a great tutorial about kale that you should check out on our YouTube page or if you're in our Facebook group. And that about massaging kale, because a lot of people don't necessarily like it raw in a salad, but if you can soften it up a little bit, it really improves the texture. I think it makes it taste great. Raw people always want to know, like, what did you do to that kale? How did you cook that kale? I'm like, I didn't cook it. I just massaged it with some olive oil and a little bit of salt. So super easy if you can do that when you're adding it to salads like this. So we've got our cabbage, kale, or kohlrabi, which is going to be super crunchy and delicious. People are going to not know what the kohlrabi is, I bet you, but they're going to really like the salad. And then we've got our cilantro, about half a cup, maybe a little bit more. And we've got our bunching onions, probably about 1/4 of a cup. And let's see, we can kind of toss this a little bit, and then I'll pour the dressing on. This is going to be like a side dish, but I think it would be really great with like some grilled chicken alongside of it. Kind of make it more of a meal. This would even be a really great mason jar salad, if you've seen our mason jar salad tutorial, to kind of put the citrus dressing at the bottom, maybe with some chicken, and then layer it with like the cabbage, the kohlrabi, the kale on top. I might have to do that this week. So that's it. I've got my diced kohlrabi, or sliced kohlrabi, that is really good with citrus dressing. You need to do this. So I've got kohlrabi, a little bit of kale, red cabbage, the citrus dressing, cilantro, and remember, you don't have to add those other veggies. The original recipe just called for a bunch of kohlrabi. I just wanted to increase the volume and make a bigger salad, so I threw some other vegetables in there. Really good, really easy, would be perfect to make the day ahead. Alright, so kohlrabi definitely can be eaten raw. Snack as a chip, use it with a dip, with peanut butter, with guacamole, with salsa. Eat it plain by itself. All super good, easy things to do. Slaw recipes are really great to add it to. The other option is that we can also cook it. So cooking it, it can actually just be roasted, like most of your other veggies can be. A little bit more popular with kohlrabi is to kind of make kohlrabi fries, which might be a good idea with some kids. Got a little bit of like a woodier bottom on that one. So when you're roasting kohlrabi or going to cook kohlrabi, you can cook it a variety of ways, I should say. You can steam it. You could add it to a stir fry. Like I said, I added it to some other veggies with a stir fry along with the leaves. Steam it, roast it. You can add it to soups. It is extremely diverse. It adds a little bit of nutrition to your meals. It's loaded with fiber and loaded with potassium. A lot of people don't get enough potassium, and we always think of potatoes and potassium or bananas and potassium, but there's a lot of other veggies out there that'll give you some additional potassium, and that's really important for circulation and blood pressure and all that good heart healthy stuff. So kohlrabi can be used all those different ways. I today am going to make some kohlrabi fries that I am going to roast. There is a recipe in our ebook that I said will be in the comments that you can check out. Some people will make like a Greek yogurt dipping sauce to go with them, or a type of like aioli, like a garlic aioli dipping sauce would be really good. So I'm kind of cutting these into fries today, but you can really just chop kohlrabi up however you want when you're roasting it. You just want to try to have kind of even pieces, so that way they cook at about the same time. And you're basically just going to roast these. We're just cutting them in a different way. So I'm adding these to a bowl first because I like to kind of make sure they're all coated a little bit evenly. I don't want to use that. Coated evenly with olive oil. And I'm just going to put salt and pepper on these today. But you could add a variety of seasonings. Some people even add like some Parmesan, some chili pepper, some garlic. So it kind of depends what you want to do with them. So I've got these kind of kohlrabi fries like this. And I'm just going to spread them out evenly on this baking sheet, and I'm going to throw them in the oven at 400 for just 15 to 20 minutes. If you wanted to check on them about halfway through and turn them, that'd probably be a good idea, but if you don't get to it, it doesn't mean it's ruined. So just 15 to 20 minutes, I'm going to roast these or bake them at 400 and they're going to be done. So that's a really super easy, fast side dish. Now, if your family's new to kohlrabi and you're nervous to just throw just kohlrabi out there, you could also roast these with some potatoes or some other veggies. Kohlrabi might cook a little bit faster than those potatoes, so you probably want to roast those first and add these in about halfway through. But you can definitely roast it with some other vegetables if you want to. Other things, if you don't want to add it to a soup or a stir fry, you can actually cook kohlrabi, maybe boil it in a little bit of water, or roast it, and you can mash it with some potatoes or some turnips. So you could do like a half and half mash. You could mix it, shred it, and mix it with some potato pancakes. You can make fritters. You could just use this easy grater to kind of shred your kohlrabi up and add it that way. So it's also really, really great cooked. I gotta preheat my oven still, I forgot to do that, but I would preheat it to 400, set it in there for 15-20 minutes, and we would be done. Want to check and make sure we don't have any questions. Alright, so we've got eating it raw, probably like Shared Legacy Farms' top recommended way, I'm going to say. Seems to be the winner in the group. Making like a slaw type salad with it. We mix ours with red cabbage, does really, really well with citrusy type dressings. The other thing you can do, let's say you want to preserve it, you're not interested in eating it raw, you don't want to cook it, you got to use it up. You can pickle kohlrabi, you can also freeze kohlrabi. So if you wanted to freeze kohlrabi, you would cut it up into squares or into smaller pieces, and you would blanch it. And we've done blanching on a lot of videos today, so I'm not going to do that one, but you essentially just let those pieces boil in some water for probably 2 to 3 minutes, and then you're going to transfer it immediately to an ice bath, and then you can go ahead and freeze those. So you can definitely freeze it. Once you thaw it out, once you've blanched it, the texture is going to be a little bit different. It's going to be like a cooked kohlrabi, so it's definitely going to go more in stir fries and a soup, some sort of cooked dish. It's not going to be crunchy. You're not going to be able to make like a raw salad with it. Pickling is the other thing that you can do, which is what we are going to do right now. I could have gotten this going. So, pickling is something that you can do to preserve your vegetables in the refrigerator. We're going to make a refrigerator pickle today. That will still preserve them for several months. I like to add pickled veggies to salads as like a condiment on my salad. Like I might add a few pieces here and there. Burgers. So you can just grab a few pieces of whatever you have pickled. They're great for snacks. It's a great kind of exit strategy if you are struggling with using things up. So I actually got this pickled kohlrabi recipe from a CSA member named Sarah because she posted that she pickles it with ginger, and I'm kind of on a ginger kick lately. So I was like, give me all the ginger. I will pickle kohlrabi with ginger. So you could pickle the kohlrabi and leave it in thin wedges like this if you wanted to. I'm kind of slicing it up a little bit thinner today. We're going to slice this up and throw it in a mason jar. I like to use wide mouth mason jars. Makes it much easier to get stuff out of it. So I've got this size mason right here. If you knew that you were going to want I know I'm going to like these little pieces on salads and things. So you can kind of cut it up however you think you might end up wanting to eat it once it's pickled, if that makes sense. This week I'll quick show you while I'm waiting for this water to heat up. I also made some golden beets. I pickled golden beets with some ginger, which I'm really excited about. And I didn't cook the beets first. I did a raw beet pickle so it would be kind of crunchy. So I'm super excited to use these over the next few months to reserve some of my golden beets from our box this week. Alright, so I have a cup of water in here. We're going to make a brine to pour over this kohlrabi. I've got a cup of water. It's heating up. We're also going to use a cup of red wine vinegar. You could also use like apple cider vinegar or something if you wanted to, but this recipe called for red wine vinegar, so I'm going to use it and try it out and see how it goes. So I've got a cup of water that is hot, boiling. I just added that red wine vinegar. And then we are going to add a tablespoon of salt and a tablespoon of honey to this hot brine here. Just bring this over here. Alright, so tablespoon of salt. Clean spoon, I don't want to. About a tablespoon of honey. It called for a tablespoon of grated ginger. I'm going to use more because, like I said, I'm kind of on this ginger kick. So I've got a couple of tablespoons there because I'm okay with that gingery flavor. It also called for about a tablespoon of garlic, which is perfect because I've got this fresh garlic that we got this past week in our CSA box. So if you didn't like ginger, you don't have to use the ginger. If you don't like a lot of garlic, you don't have to use the garlic. That's what's great about not being a baker, is that sometimes you can play around with recipes a little bit more. I'm not the best baker because I'm not the best measurer and follower of recipes all the time. So we've got ginger, garlic, and then a little bit of peppercorns and a little bit of chili peppers. So just got these little guys here. I'm going to add those. So pretty easy. We've got ginger, garlic, chili peppers, salt, a little bit of honey, and our water and red wine vinegar. And we are going to pour this very carefully over this kohlrabi. I'm just going to kind of pack it down a little bit because when you pickle something, you want to make sure that the liquid is totally covering the vegetable. Oh, which this will. Awesome. All this good stuff needs to go in there. pickled kohlrabi. Super easy. It's going to be gingery and garlicky and peppery, so it'll be a great little condiment on burgers or salads. If you want to eat it as a snack, you could. I kind of use my pickled veggies more as like a condiment here and there. So a good way to preserve kohlrabi if you don't think you're going to get to it very soon. I will let this cool. Probably take this off so it can cool a little bit faster. I will let this cool, and once it's cool, I will put it in the refrigerator, and it will be good for months. So a way to enjoy some more of my CSA veggies into the fall if I want to, or even into the winter. So set that over here. Alright, so that is our kohlrabi tutorial. We've got snacking, we've got a good salad recipe, pickling, blanching, roasting or cooking. Make sure you check out our ebook. That will be in the comments section of this video, and post questions or what your favorite thing to do with kohlrabi is to kind of share them with the rest of the group. So thank you everyone. Again, this is Katie, your CSA coach with Shared Legacy Farms, and thanks for joining us. Have a good one.